Hey kids, this is Shua Diesel. I'm here with Kristopher Roe of the Ataris. Just had a couple questions for him. How you doing tonight?
Doing very well, thank you. It's nice weather, nice Oklahoma City evening. Happy to be playing here tonight.
Yeah, it's really crazy warm for this time of year in Oklahoma.
Yeah, you would never know that it's middle of January right now. I suppose it's almost 60s, upper 60s. So yeah, it's great.
So I know throughout everything you've done, you've been to Oklahoma City several times. And I know all life on the road, it kind of turns in one venue to the next, but is there anyone that stands out to you as that's been your favorite as far as visiting Oklahoma City?
I played here a lot, but I mean, I always loved playing the conservatory, or like I did an acoustic show one night at this place called the High Low, and that was really fun. Back in my major drinking days, so I just remember getting really drunk and just having a good time. You know, the shows that really feel great to me are the ones that are really intimate and personal, and just have a good, you know, like you're going to hang out at your favorite dive bar in your town. You know, I grew up in a small town outside of Indianapolis, and you know, when I play places that feel like our little local bars at home, you know, back where I grew up, it makes me feel more at ease. And you know, I'm a very kind of socially awkward person, whether you would know it or not, and I just feel like when we have shows where it feels very unified and personal, and feel like the crowd and the stage are kind of, you know, or the band and the crowd are kind of like unified, it really makes a difference in the performance and the show. I mean, we could have the biggest crowd, and if they just stand there and it just feels like, you know, we're up here and they're down there, it's not as good as, you know, playing a little place where, you know, you've got 100 kids piling into the microphone, you know, there's no stage, you know, knocking the mic in your teeth and breaking shit. You know, that to me is what, you know, rock music should be about, and it's what I loved, you know, going to shows when I was a kid, you know, and that's what I think got me into, you know, good music, you know, like Jawbreaker and Sam I Am, Replacements, The Descendants, whatever. All those bands were just real, honest, organic rock and roll music. So.
Right on. Okay. Now, I know that you've been working on a brand new album for the Ataris since 2008.
Yeah, roughly. I've been writing songs on and off.
All right. I'm pretty glad we caught that in the shot.
That's bad.
We may have.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I've been working on and off on writing songs for like the last several years. For me, songwriting is just something, you know, you do whenever you're traveling, whenever you feel inspired. It's not something you really can rush. Fortunately, I wish I could, but you know, I can't. I do feel like I have a strong batch of songs. I've got about 20 songs recorded, but I have vocals finished for like 6 of them. I plan to do about 12 or 13 on the record, and so that means I've got about 6 or 7 songs of vocals to do. I'm planning to finish those right when we get home from this tour in March, and then get the album out in the summer. Paper and Plastic are putting it out of Gainesville.
Fantastic.
And yeah, you know, this is the first tour with the Ataris full band since October 2010. The reason we took so much time off was because I was writing and recording, and I did a bunch of acoustic touring. I put an acoustic album out in November of last year on our Bandcamp. It's donation only if you want to check it out, just theataris.bandcamp.com. And you know, the way I look at music nowadays is music is surely kind of a promotional tool to get people to come out and hopefully support your live show. And you know, to me, I support file sharing, and I think, you know, if you're a musician or artist and you do not, or you say you don't, you're probably a hypocrite. So for me, you know, as long as people check out the music and then they come out and see us live and support live music, and that's really all that matters. But yeah, as far as the new album, it's called The Graveyard of the Atlantic. It'll be out in the summer, and you know, we have a new 7-inch with 2 new songs that came out last year, and you can go to Paper and Plastic with a K on the end of plastic for some odd reason. And they're a great label. They put out a lot of really good, you know, vinyl and digital, and they really focus on really artistic packaging.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great stuff coming from Paper and Plastic these days.
If you're a vinyl nerd or a guy that loves actual artwork, that's one of the reasons I think the label's a great label. And they have Red City Radio from here, right?
They do. Yeah, they are from here. Some of the hometown boys.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I was able to catch you at Bella Brew when you came through doing your acoustic tour, and it was just absolutely a phenomenal show.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Now, I heard a rumor that on the new album you're doing a cover of a Gasoline Heart song. When you were here last time in 2010, that introduced me to Gasoline Heart. Since then, I've become a huge fan.
No, they're great. Well, the way I feel is like, you know, Lewis from Gasoline Heart is a good buddy of mine, and you know, there are those songwriters that, you know, have good partners and good friends that you kind of like feed ideas off of each other. And I've been lucky to, you know, he's a good guy and a guy that I admire his writing. So, you know, when we're out touring together, we were bouncing some ideas off each other. He asked me for some advice a while ago on a couple songs of his, and I was like, no, you should add a longer chorus on that song, or this or that, or, you know, that's what songwriting buddies do, and I've got a few friends like that. But with him, I chose to cover a version of his song, Is This How We End Up?
Oh, I love that
because,
song. It's fantastic.
It was one of those songs where the lyrics of the song kind of relate to, it's like a song that I wish I could write, but I could never get away with it because I can't feel like I could write something like that because I would just look like an asshole. Where Lewis, he can say anything he wants and get away with it.
Well, he's from New York.
Badass.
He's from New York.
Yeah, but it also, it's just in the attitude. And with me, I think I've built this band as just being the nice guy and trying to be down to earth. And Lewis, you know, he can get up on stage and just fuck with people and belittle people in a playful way, and people are like, yeah, it's awesome. If I do that, unless I'm really drunk and I think I can just kind of get away with being a little bit more, you know, sassy or whatever, people just think, God, he's a dick, but I'm not at all, you know?
Yeah, I've never seen a single performer with so much control over a crowd before.
Yeah, he's good like that. And so, I mean, but yeah, the lyrics, when you read the song or listen to the song finally, you'll you know, kind of get what I'm talking about. But it just kind of goes back to like the way we look at music, you know, being 35 in our band, you know, we like just honest, organic, you know, rock and roll, indie rock, country music, whatever. And I don't really relate to any of the modern pop shit or you know, the kind of homogenized, auto-tuned, you know, Pro Tool crap. We record all analog, all vintage instruments. We've always recorded analog, except for So Long a Story. We did a bit of that in Pro Tools, but it was surely because time constraints, and we needed to go and do the guitars. We did the drums analog and did the rest in Pro Tools. But yeah, for me, music should be about the mistakes. It should be about the honesty and the integrity of the songs, and not trying to make something perfect. Because perfect sucks. Nothing's fucking perfect, and good music should have those mistakes because that's what makes music great. So so that's kind of what the song said to me. It's basically just kind of not too directly pointing fingers at any bands per se, but I mean, it's definitely kind of just saying this generation of music and art has kind of lost its way and got caught up in makeup and haircuts and fucking girls' jeans, and it needs to go back to just writing songs from your heart, not from your fucking penis, you know?
Yeah. I think anybody who's paid attention to the music scene for the last 5 years can agree with that.
I think it's definitely coming back around. Every action has a reaction. It's kind of like when I was a kid and all the 80s hair metal got a big shot in the heart when, you know, all the great Pacific Northwest bands came along, and, you know, everybody started listening to like Mudhoney and Nirvana and all that shit. You know, it's like those bands definitely saved music for a while, and now unfortunately, you know, you have the hopefully you have a big death knell of a big stake in the heart of all the fashion-based shit that's out there now. But I mean, if you look at Warped Tour from when we started playing it, I mean, at least when we started playing it back in like 2000, they had a variety of music, and now I feel there's no variety, and it's not more that I hate one thing or I hate the other, or it's just that I feel the worst thing you can do as a person is pigeonhole yourself to only listen to one type of music. I find way more inspiration in, you know, old jazz or old soul records than I do in, you know, modern punk records, give or take, you know, a few good bands out there that are just doing it right. I mean, obviously, like I said, one of the reasons we started Paper and Plastics, because they get it. You know, there are those bands like that are on that level, like Against Me, or, you know, Gaslight Anthem, or like you said, Gasoline Heart, or you know, John Moreland, who's playing that. Those guys, you know, they're kind of more modern bands that I feel are doing it right. And there's that wave of those bands that we always joke, you know, the bearded PBR sounded like they smoked Camel Wides for their entire life, kind of bands. Those bands, yeah, that's.
And John Moreland definitely has that sound.
Yeah, it's going back to you know, the good bands, the, you know, Jawbreaker and Avail and the Hot Water music and all that shit that we grew up with. Yeah. So
So, any ideas to the release date for the new album?
I don't. I mean, it's like every time I say a date,
It just falls by the wayside.
Some little fucking prick comes on my Facebook and starts belittling me for saying a date and then not following it up. So I'm gonna say, I got 6 or 7 more songs and vocals to do. I've got a date set to record them. My goal now is to get it out once those vocals are done. Well, however long it takes to set the record up. So probably, summertime, so they're looking for like June, July, August, something like that. I mean, I know we'll get it out this year, because if we don't, then we just call it a day, because can't do anything right. But, yeah.
Now, I know that you reached huge commercial success with So Long Astoria. Yeah. You couldn't turn on the radio for about a year without hearing either In This Diary or Boys of Summer.
All right.
And I mean, I love the album.
Yeah. No, thanks. I mean, I feel there were good things and bad things that came with that, and the experience of being on a big label, that wasn't bad at all. I mean, they always gave us complete creative control, and I always steered the vision of this band, even at the largest point in our band. But the bad thing, you have to deal with the douchey side of radio people that are, get paid to smile and have this like forced. Oh man, hey bro, you guys are so rad, bro. They all talk like Carson Daly or Ryan Seacrest and have like no sincerity whatsoever,
right.
Because every other dude is in a band that they'd have to deal with, and they don't know, they go home and then they listen to Creed and Nickelback or whatever they like, and go to work and try to pretend that they know everything. I'd rather somebody tell me I have no fucking idea anything about your band, and I'm thanks for coming in, whatever, and we do an interview on that. But man, it's not like every dude that interviews you or you meet is going to know anything about your band, and I know that, so that's cool. But it's just such a fake world, the radio, and I'm sure half those guys would agree, and so that really sucked. And with the Boys of Summer single, the kind of downside with that was that we were going to radio with the second single for After In This Diary, the song My Reply, which was a personal song we wrote about. There was a girl from Australia that wrote us a couple letters, and we'd always read our mail and answer it personally in those days even. And the song was a reply to her letters in like verbatim. Every other line was kind of an answer to a line in her letters. And so we were really excited to do the video. We had the date set to start shooting it, and K-Rock in LA added the song Boys of Summer straight from the record. And we, the way we work with the band is I'll record all the songs in the studio, and then we'll go back and learn what we're going to learn for the live set. Mm-hmm. So we had never played that song live. We had no intentions of playing it live. We were backstage at a big radio festival in LA. We were about to go on stage, and the guys at the label were like, "So you guys playing Boys of Summer tonight? Because K-Rock added it today as your next single." I'm like, "What?" So I didn't think about that when we recorded the song. I didn't think that a label could do, or a radio station could do that. So
I didn't think it could either.
All in all, we just kind of had to like roll with it. We learned the song, played it that night. That night I actually had a Pedro the Lion shirt that I turned inside out, wrote "Who the fuck is Don Henley" on it, wore that on stage. It's kind of like, what the fuck. But in the end, we talked to Henley, and he was actually a really nice guy, and was really honored that we covered the song, and that kind of made it even cooler. And we, 2002 into 2003, it was a tribute to her, because she had she took, when I used to go down to Florida every summer and visit them, she took me out to buy like one record one summer I was down there, because it was really rainy and I couldn't go out and do 8-year-old kid things that year. I was stuck down there and by myself and missing home, and I bought that record, Building the Perfect Beast, and it just always reminded me of being down there that summer. So when we covered it, that was kind of our tribute to her. But yeah, there's ups and downs to anything, and so that's kind of the...
So over the long term, do you think being associated with the big label helped you overall, or hurt?
Well, I mean, I think it definitely gained some new fans. I mean, the way I always look at the history of this band is there were all the people that got into us when Blue Skies, Broken Hearts came. They heard In This Diary, and then kind of the radio people who discovered us when they heard Boys of Summer. Mm-hmm. I mean, In This Diary, I don't think people remember. It was a really, really big single, and it was a big video that was always a rotation on MTV. So we definitely felt a big rush.
Life my senior year of high school.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I was trying to say is that we basically felt a big kind of surge of new fans around that time, and it really helped. Whether or not, some of those people had the attention span to like stick with the band, I'm sure some of them did. But the way radio works is a lot of the time, you know, and you can kind of tell. You'll play radio festivals, people will like be in the beer garden, and then they'll stand up for your couple singles, sit back down in the, you know, the pavilion chairs, and then, you know, wait for the next radio band. And that's not anything to blame them, because I grew up in that market, and active rock stations play a single. The only other way a lot of those people have to discover music is through Walmart or through, you know, whatever CDs on the end caps that week. And unfortunately, as we go on, more and more stores stop stocking music, and people can only discover it online. And I think if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you have 4 kids, you're less prone to go out and actually search out bands. Yeah. It's just a fact, and you know, that's why, you know, Toby Keith and Disney bands still sell records, and guys like me don't, because, you know, those are the artists that you'll find in Walmart and the chains, you know. And so, and then, you know, everything else is who will download just one song off of iTunes. So yeah, I mean, there's ups and downs to it. But,
there's always ups and downs. I can say that my biggest problem with going to a store and buying something is they very rarely have anything I listen to. Yeah, because it's all like Gasoline Hard, MXPX, Tumble Down.
Well, I think people that listen to like independent artists like that are, you know, smart enough to go out and like buy it off of the band's sites and do it directly. So, you know, the proceeds go to the artists, and you know, that's why, you know, these places like Bandcamp and whatnot have started up, because it's given people like me an outlet to put things online, sell them for, you know, donation or whatever I want to put it up there for. I don't have to give some big percentage to iTunes. You know, you give a little to PayPal or whatever, but overall, it gives all the freedom to the artist, and it just puts it back to, it's not about making money for me, it's about making a living, paying my bills, and going out and just getting my music to people that want to hear it, and maybe getting in the hands of some people that wouldn't pay $12 for a full album, but they would go out and, I'll donate a couple bucks and I'll check this out, and then you've got a new fan. So it's a good system, and then, you know, you've got you know, more people at your shows, and then maybe they'll come and, you know, pay to get in and buy a shirt or something.
Right. One last question, and then I'll let you get back to setting up. I know, not last year, but the year before, you hooked up with Mike Herrera and played the Australian tour with a few other dates with the MXPX All-Stars.
I got involved with that. I'm not doing it anymore, but I did it briefly because Mike was always an old friend of mine, and, you know, they needed a guitar player on the tour, and I'm like, you know, I just wanted the challenge to go out and just play guitar and not have to be behind a mic for a while. And you know, it gets kind of tiring sometimes just being front guy, or, you know, for instance, when I'm up on stage playing, sometimes I'll kind of have this thought like, man, why don't I write more songs where I can just like play guitar or just back away from the mic, because I hate singing sometimes. I mean, I feel like I've done it a long time, and, you know, I've had some times where, you know, I played in some other friends' bands on the side when I had some downtime just to play guitar, and it feels nice to be able to get off, you know, not be glued to the mic all night, and gives you a little more anonymity as well, and you just can be playing guitar. And when we toured Gasoline Art, some nights of the tour, I would join them, play bass on a few songs, and then you know, Brian would play guitar, our bass player, and Brian, our bass player, actually went out and played bass with them on their last Gasoline Art tour, the East Coast, for 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean, that was kind of the deal. I mean, I was honored Mike let me go out and do it, and it's one of those things where, you know, the Ataris is my main focus, and, you know, I like to spread the love. You know, if anyone, you know, wants me to play guitar in their band, you know, it's you know, as long as they'll give me a little dough to do it so I can pay my bills, and, you know, it's something I'm interested in, and I believe in their songs, and it's, you know, gonna be a fun time. Hell yeah, I'll do it. It was just a good time traveling. Got to go visit some place I hadn't been in a while, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, from the way the videos turned out, it looked like the show's kind of morphed into some hybrid of an MXPX
on the Australia tour. On the Australia tour, it was a little more like, he borrowed me as a guitar player, and for our set, Brian, our bass player, played bass, and we borrowed him as a guitarist, and we borrowed their drummer, and that was just sheerly because it costs so fucking much money to go to Australia right now, and it was like, all right, we can pay another $4,000 for one flight for a drummer, another $4,000 for a bass player, or we can like be like, tell our drummer and our other guitarists like, hey man, you know, we're gonna do this 1 week of shows and just kind of like share bros for a band and back each other up, and then, you know, yeah, but everybody understands. So you got to put egos aside when it comes to that, because, I mean, another $8,000 to fucking fly down there, it meant we would have like made no money to come home and feed our families and shit. So, you know, everybody understands.
Oh, I'm sure it was an amazing show.
Oh, it was
something
fun.
I certainly would have liked
you know,
to see.
I don't feel it represents what the Ataris do as much, because for us, there's a certain, kind of like when we go out and we do this tour, we're 6 shows in, so we hadn't played any of these songs together since October 2010, so I feel we only start really getting together and feeling like a unit, like we really are bouncing off each other and really connecting a couple weeks into the tour. You know, it's always like jumping on a moving train, and you know, you're just struggling, and then finally you catch your balance a couple weeks in, and that's where we're at right now. I mean, we've had a couple really solid shows where I mean, for us, I mean, all the crowds have been great, but we've had a couple shows where we're like, yeah, we really played it up to our full potential, and then like we had a show like last night where I felt like we didn't really quite pull it, but sometimes, you know, that crowd has no fucking idea.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it was a great show, and you're like,
it was okay.
I mean, I try to set a really high bar for myself, and I mean, that was the only downside. I mean, for those shows, I think it was good, and I mean, but I think Mike would feel the same way. I mean, only he knows how to play his songs the way he does, and only I know how I want my songs in my head, and that's what happens when you have 2 Rams, 2, you know, songwriters, and one unit playing together. It's really complicated, and that's why our band works, because everybody understands that I write the songs, and that's how it works, and you know, I'm always down for people to have some input, but at the same time, you know, there's a certain way we've done it for a long time, and why change now, you know? On Welcome to Night, our album, that was the only album where everybody in the band wrote together, and we all recorded 7 people together live, and I feel that was a major difference in the sound of that record, and where I'm really proud of that album. I feel like the thing people weren't used to is they were hearing 7 people writing songs, and that's why I think these new songs kind of sound more like what they're probably used to, because it's not filtered through 7 people. It's just, all right, this is how I hear it in my head, this is how it goes down to tape, and I play it all, and then that's that. So
fantastic. Well, thanks for coming out and letting me interview you, Chris.
Appreciate it.
I'm excited to see the show tonight.